all be gone.
But you make it easy for them. You show up in Moscow, you say this is the best place I've ever been in my life. This city is better than anywhere in America.
It is.
Get out of here. On
It's
what basis?
so much better. On the basis that I
The
described.
people making like no money. That's why the prices are cheap.
Yeah. Well, actually, look, I'm no expert on the Russian economy. I can only tell you what I saw, which is a city of 13 million people, much larger than any city we have. Hard to govern a city like that. And there is, no homelessness, no graffiti. It's spotlessly clean. The public spaces are beautiful. The architecture has not been degraded by the oppression of postmodern architecture, which is designed to demoralize and hurt you and destroy your spirit. I believe that, because it's true.
Do you believe that postmodern architecture is designed to kill your spirit?
Of course. What's
Why?
the message of it? Well, look, anything that we make with our hands, it's the purest expression of our creativity. So there's a purpose behind everything that we make. There's a message behind all of it, as there is in all art. You don't paint a painting with no vision behind it. You paint a painting because you're saying something. And so buildings that are warm and human and that elevate the human spirit are pro-human. And brutalism, for example, or the I am peg glass boxes that crowd every city in the United States, those are not elevating. What's the message of working in a cube in a room with a synthetic drop ceiling and drywall on the walls and fluorescent lighting ahead of you and no privacy at all? What's the message? The message is really clear. You mean nothing. You are replaceable. You are a widget in a bin awaiting assembly. You're just a cog in a machine. You have no value. And everyone kind of ignores this, like, oh, well, that's the way buildings have always been. No, that's not true. And architecture and anything made by human hands is the purest expression of the society that produced it. So we were like, oh, they're handicrafts. No, they're not handicrafts. They're a visible and tangible sign of who you are, not just as a person, but corporately as a society. And if you live in a place that creates nothing beautiful and doesn't provide people uplifting buildings to live and work in, that's a very sick and dark society. And it wasn't always that way. That's the only point I made. Look, Moscow, I'm not moving to Moscow. I'm an American. I'm never leaving. But Moscow is not so different from the cities of the United States in my youth. We had a free society, much freer than we have today. We had much more capitalism, free markets, fewer monopolies.
But you're not saying Moscow was a free society.
I'm saying the United States was a free society.
Okay.
The country that I grew up in had a semi-functioning capitalist system with competition. It wasn't all like 4 companies dominating everything, which is what we have now. That's not capitalism, okay? That's a monopoly economy, which is bad. And you had freedom of speech. I guess there were probably some limits, but I wasn't aware of what they were because they were so broad. And you had safe, for the most part, clean cities. And that's exactly what Moscow is. So again, as I've said, and I really mean it, and I said it to our producers who we were traveling with at the time, this does not make me love Putin. It makes me despise our leaders. And so I say this for Moscow, and Jon Stewart is just such a tool of power. It's crazy. He's like, well, fentanyl ODs are the price of freedom. Really? You're going to try and convince me of that? It's like telling women working at Citibank is liberation. No, it's slavery, actually. That's not liberation. Getting to raise your own children is liberation. Getting to do what you want, to satisfy the deepest desires of your heart, that's liberation. They've redefined liberation. Liberation is living in some shithole? No, that's slavery. And so I try to make this point. I don't think it's super subtle or esoteric or complex. But they're like, oh, Tulip Putin. No. You are flacking for the indefensible. That's what's actually happening.
So for you, it's not Putin's better, Russia's better. It's that it gave you perspective on what you think has changed in America for the worse.
Of course. I look at everything.
It's not how it came across.
I'm sure, and